I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person. He actually gets a very unfair press in that regard. But we'll see what happens.
I think we saw what happened. Thank you, my beloved fans. All right, another Friday, another one bites the dust. Trump officials are starting to look like Dodgers fans. Everyone leaving early to beat the traffic. This time, Chief Strategist Steve Bannon, here he is, leaving the building. He's a compelling person. Now, his exit isn't really a surprise for a few reasons. One, Bannon's been the flashpoint in Trump's White House since day one. In his short but wild tenure, he raised more eyebrows than my eyebrow-raising farm. The worst joke in human history, and I wrote it. Most recently, Bannon gave a wild interview to a left-wing magazine, and then he claimed he thought it was off the record. I don't know. That decision smells fishier than the bib collector in a crab shack.
That was better.
That was better. Marginally better. My gut tells me that whole thing was planned to give Mr. Trump the justification for dropping him. Plus, after this week, they needed to do something. And last but not least, General John Kelly's the chief of staff now, and he had to get things under control. And according to some press reports, Bannon's position was under review by the general, and that's never good. But the upside? The White House lost its chief strategist, but cable news might have gained a new host. I can see it now. The Bannon cannon. Right after Mooch and Company. Mooch and Company. Right after Morning Spicer. Right after Rinse and Repeat. Right after Flynn Lose or Draw. I just created a whole new lineup. What's that network called? I don't know. So, Trump should Trump replace Bannon? And who should he replace him with? Personally, I think he should replace this fiery character with someone more soothing and less incendiary. I'm thinking Ted Nugent. Yes. That'll work, huh? If he disagrees with you, he will hunt you down and kill you. And then he will wear you. Because he wears his own stuff. Anyway, I kid. I really think it's time to get serious. We need this person now more than ever. I think you know who I'm talking about.
It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend, Friday, Friday, getting down on Friday.
That is my punishment for you. That will be stuck in your head for the next 2 days.
Period.
Shall we welcome tonight's guests? I think we should. He's so tough, his tattoos have tattoos. Retired Special Forces Master Sergeant Terry Shepard. She goes by one name because that's all she needs. It's Kennedy, host of Kennedy on Fox Business. This cat has 9 lives and she hates all of them. Co-host of the Fox News Specialist, Kat Timpf. And the Parthenon is his shoebox, former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Terry.
Sir.
The conventional wisdom of Steve Bannon, he's the Dark Knight, he's an awful person. I'm skeptical of mob thinking. When everybody thinks the same thing, I think, there's something else going on here. What if he's just a great guy?
By the way, always take a step back when the mob is doing that. So that's what has to happen right now.
Yeah.
I got to say this about Breitbart. You know, what bothers me about the whole Bannon thing is everybody bought into, he's a racist. Really? David Webb, our friend. Sonny Johnson, our friend. There's 2 of my 3 black friends right there.
There you go.
I have 1
That's
here.
always a good defense, Terry, when you point out your black friends.
So
when you point out your black friends, everybody goes, oh, yeah.
So what I'm saying is those guys, David Webb and Sonny Johnson, work. Come on, I'm joking.
I know.
You can say stuff, but I can't.
No, it's okay.
So those guys were
2 presidents?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So those guys work for Breitbart. They say he's not a racist. He's an anti-Semite. Joel Pollack writes for him. He's a great reporter. Ben Shapiro used to. They had their falling out. Brandon Darby is one of the best reporters in the country, doing great work. So I think, again, what bothered me about the whole Breitbart idea was that it's a bunch of white supremacists. That's BS. It's BS. Now, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at the Trump White House. I don't think Trump knows what's going on behind the scenes in the White House. So we'll see how it goes. But Bannon and Kellyanne Conway, you could say they were instrumental in getting that guy elected. So I think it's interesting where he's going to go, what he's going to do. Everyone's talking about war. He could also fight that war against the people that he wanted to fight, maybe outside the White House. I don't know.
Who knows, Kennedy? Was this a good thing? Is this going to... Remember, we thought that General John Kelly coming in would calm everything down, and then that was... the news changed that, I guess. But then... How do you see this affecting the White House?
You know that scene where the girl is passed out in Larry's bed and he's got a devil and an angel on his shoulder? That's how I saw the Trump White House. And when John Kelly came in, I was like, oh, well, there's the angel. And when the president listens to General John Kelly, he will be appealing to the better side of his nature.
Right.
And I think that's what we saw Monday when he, in the White House, gave the statement on Charlottesville, which was sort of a reboot from what he said sort of clumsily on Saturday, which, was problematic, but not terribly offensive. But he perhaps committed sins of omission in the Saturday statement, righted that on Monday, should have just walked away. But then, I think Bannon, the little devil on his shoulder, was like, no. There were some fine people at that rally. Don't forget to say that. And it's really hard to find fine people marching arm in arm with neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
But that's just me being a bluff old traditionalist.
Yeah.
I think that we're seeing a big difference between running a campaign, which is obviously critical in getting someone elected, and I think Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon, to their credit, came in and completely turned that campaign around, and they were the driving force that allowed the president to ascend to the White House. They tapped into the discontent in the middle of the country that both parties had completely ignored, and I think they were very smart in doing that. But I also think there's a disconnect between running for office and governing.
That's true. Everybody has a different role, Tyrus.
Yes.
What is your role now?
Well, I have 2 of them, right?
Yes.
Look, I took it, like I said, I didn't say much all week about it because the first, when Trump came out and he said what he said the first thing, I think I didn't have as much problem with it. Maybe he should have listed some stuff, but I thought it was just naturally assumed that white supremacists were bad, so I didn't, so I kind of gave him a pass on that. That, like Kennedy's point, his speech at the White House was great. I think we're missing the point is that, unfortunately, and this is Donald Trump's fault, his feud with the media clouds his judgment, and he gets into, and you can see when he gets upset, and he feels he has to fight to prove every point he makes to the point where he ends up talking about one point. He fell for the media. They lay traps. I've been in entertainment, sports for a long time. Media always lay traps. You lose a game, they try to get you to say the wrong thing.
Right.
Trump made an omission on the first thing, so they had their trap. They laid their trap, and because him, and if you don't hear all the stuff because they were screaming at him, so he started fighting back, and then he started to defend his point, and his point, instead of talking about what he needed to be, the encompassing of how we all should be band together against anybody who preaches hate, he couldn't get there because his hatred and his back and forth and one-upsmanship with the media has hurt this country. So he needs to find a way to he's got to let it go. He can't win that fight. You cannot win that fight with the media because they're always going to be digging for
not
questions.
Let go.
And he literally, and this happens, he's won some, he's embarrassed them, he's made them look bad. This time they got him, and they got him good at the expense of the country.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, man.
Kat, what do you think Bannon's going to turn on Trump?
See, I think it's a good thing that Bannon's gone, but I'd be worried about that. Like, this proves, but I worry about everything.
Yeah, you do.
This proves that President Trump does not have the anxiety issues that I have. Because I'm serious, we all have those friends that we used to be like best friends forever with, and you don't really talk anymore, and sometimes you lay awake at night like, oh my God, they know too much?
Yes.
I mean, I don't like to have a falling out with anybody. There's people who know too much. I got like 2 or 3 people I can't stand at all that just know too much, always invited to my birthday party. They can always come on through because I don't want them talking. So, you know, or writing an article about
That's so
me in
true.
Breitbart or whatever.
That is true. That is true. I have a few friends like that I go, oh my God, if they ever get interviewed,
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah, you gotta be. I like
we
their.
all have some-
I like
we
their
all have people
tweets.
like
I
that.
like their tweets
Well,
and their
mine always
Facebook
have
statuses.
accidents.
So it's like, see, we're still friends, right? Don't tell them this stuff.
I got to say, I agree. I have to, and we got to wrap it up, but I think, yeah, Trump could have done a better job, but I think the media knows how to bait him, and he lost his cool.
Yeah.
And when he loses his cool,
He becomes a 70-year-old grandpa who's yelling at his kids for playing on the lawn and forgets what it's really all about.
And it's frustrating because at this point now, the dude's got to know better. Like, here's the other thing. It's never been about Trump. It's not about Trump. It's about kind of the agenda that he ran on, and that's still there.
you know what the thing, and also, expecting a moral pronouncement from Donald Trump is like demanding the Gettysburg Address from a jar of mustard. This is not why he was elected.
Right.
President Obama was elected because, you know, people saw him as an inspirational figure. Trump is a businessman. I didn't come to him for moral supports. Right. And so when he's up there, I don't think he knows how to do that. When they said, "Can you heal a nation?" He's like, no, I can't heal a nation. What are you asking for?
But I can tell you about how good my poll numbers were.
Yeah, yes.
But, you know, I mean, I was looking back this week at some of the statements presidents had made in the face of tragedy, and you think about those defining moments. And could you imagine Ronald Reagan just losing his mind when the space shuttle exploded?
Yeah.
And if he went after, like, #fake news and...
Yeah. The only thing is, though, I mean, you know, this contentious relationship is so beyond repair that there's nothing. I think that what he did was perhaps a mistake, but it became a nuclear explosion, and I think that's the way it's going to be. The media has grabbed onto that string from a sweater, and it's just going to keep pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling until there's no sweater left. And I don't want to see a shirtless Donald Trump. I have to go. Coming up, I've got some ideas on how we can prevent the next terror attack. And later, the guy who created all those insane passwords, computer passwords, well, now he says he was wrong. He's here, and I'm going to demand an apology. Another terror attack, this time in Barcelona. A car ramming a crowd. Same tactic used many times before. It's common because it's easy, and also because we've hardened other targets. It's a tragic byproduct of our own progress in preventing larger horror. So what's this mean for us, for the world? As always, we need more intelligence and surveillance and cooperation, meaning we have to stop seeing security and freedom as competing forces, and instead see them as siblings helping each other out. Freedom and security go hand in hand. That's why we must always try to harden soft targets. When you hear commentators remind you of the low risk of attack, they do it from a safe space like here, surrounded by guards and bulletproof glass. Which makes me wonder, why are we so special and you aren't? Security as an industry should be bigger than technology or media. If you can major in physics, you should be able to major in security. But I fear it may be too late. The way we respond to terror, obviously we are shocked, but shocked in a way that includes no context, no sense of history, no idea of why this keeps happening and what might happen next. We treat it like an extreme weather pattern. We take in the visuals, then decide it's unavoidable, and then we return to our phones. And the media, hell, they get more outraged over statues which don't even move. Terror moves. We've taken our eye off the ball, and I fear what comes next. What will the next 9/11 be? The kind of spectacle we refuse to fathom. When terror and technology wed, we will ask ourselves how this could happen and see this terrible period now as the good old days. Terry,
Yes, sir.
You fight terrorists. And you fought them for a living.
25 years, almost.
Yeah.
I just retired in October.
What are we doing wrong? What could we do better?
You got to give me like more than 30 seconds because I flew up here today to do this damn shit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Woo!
All right,
Sorry,
we'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Add cut. Add cut. Okay. I'm talking now about the homegrown terror stuff.
Right.
Okay? I've heard everything about everybody else, and I've been doing that my whole life. Here's the phrase, and you need to remember this. Sometimes you need to become what you aren't in order to protect and ensure the future survival of what you actually are. That's the principle behind self-defense. It's also the principle behind a lot of wars. We do it, but we don't want to. You do what is necessary. Now, before anybody calls me an Islamophobe, I've spent a lot of my adult life over in the Middle East. I've lived with Arabs. I've trained their soldiers. I've fought. I've bled. I've watched them die. As a Green Beret medic, I've delivered their babies, pulled their teeth, inoculated their farm animals. And I've helped them the whole time. So don't ever call me an Islamophobe for what I'm about to say, because probably most of you have never done what I've done. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little militant about it. Here's the thing. You got to understand what's going on over there. You got to understand them. People talking to talking heads, you don't know how these folks think. They are worried about their family, their clan, and their tribe. They do not have a national identity. That's why that's such a hard sell. And most Middle Eastern countries are either kingdoms, theocracies, or dictatorships, because you have to crush them to hold them together.
Right.
Fast forward to the guys who are living here in the West, the killers, not the regular Islamic people. What do they care about? They hate the country they live in. Their words, not mine. Their actions, not mine. What do they care about? They care about their family. They care about that group. So anytime one of these guys does this, that whole family gets picked up and deported back to the country of origin. And I got to tell you something. On the way here today, this isn't some, America right. I do what is necessary. Green Berets are problem solvers. I talked to my driver coming in from the airport. He's from Pakistan. I know a little bit about Pakistan. He was surprised I even knew where he came by his name. We were talking back and forth in a friendly way, and I posited this to him. And you know what he said? He goes, that would work. They know. They know what it is. And right now there's no impetus in the United States or the Western Europe countries for the Muslim community as a whole to actually do something about this. Because as soon as one of them kills, we mourn, we put up our emojis, and then we tell the rest of them, we love you, we don't want to hurt you, and that's the way it goes. Does anybody know what happened to San Bernardino family?
Yeah.
The Pulse nightclub killer, the Boston Marathon, they're all still here.
Right.
Move them out. And I'm telling you now, you take from them what they care about, and it will slow down, if not stop.
Good point. Kennedy, I bet you agree.
No, here's what I will say.
One more thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do something like that, you are not serious about stopping homegrown terrorism, and you are tacitly admitting that you are willing to accept a certain level of death. That's what you're doing.
All right.
Words don't help. Clever articles don't help. Witty stuff doesn't help.
Okay, but what
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm done for the night.
No, but what I will say is I have far more respect for someone like Terry, who has actually fought for freedom, because the men and women who have worn the uniform for this country to fight for freedom, that is sacred, and that is a level that civilians will never understand, but that is something that we absolutely share.
Right.
And I think, to your point, we have to have, and I don't agree with your hysteria. I think that you have a way of selling security that is short-sighted and less informed than someone like Terry, who truly has been all over the world and knows how the world works in that
more,
sense.
you're saying.
Absolutely.
I didn't say that, Chief.
But what I will say is...
And by the way, you didn't have to say short about sighted.
I heard it.
She is microaggressing me.
It's a macroaggression. But what I will say is that there have to be some non-traditional solutions to these problems that hopefully don't compromise civil liberties, but people who have actually been on the front line have a way of thinking outside of the box that we're scared to talk about and we're scared to implement in this country for fear of breaking cultural mores.
I think you're absolutely right. And I get my information from him and from people in terror intelligence, counterintelligence, all that stuff. I got to get to this pair over here. Kat?
Hi.
Hi. You were in the Green Berets.
Yeah, for 26 years.
But it was a pop band.
Damn it, 26?
Yeah. I started when I was 2. Very talented. I'm very talented in combat.
Those were the
very talented.
Those were the green diapers. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, obviously, I agree with pretty much everything that Kennedy thinks, and not many of the things that you think when it comes to this issue. I do think that you know, a lot of the threat. It's easy to get emotional about these things, but I don't think that good policy comes from a place of emotion. And we
Thank God you're not emotional.
We can't. I'm incredibly emotional, but I should never be in government. I'm not trying to be in government. I talk for a living. I'm not trying to make. No, not me for president. Okay, for real.
I'm not writing you.
Never temps. Hashtag never temps. Okay, for real. But you know, we have to make sure that we don't destroy our own freedom in the process ourselves, because we're afraid that they will destroy our freedom. We got to make sure we don't take away our civil liberties. We have to make sure that we're not afraid to travel and have fun and live our lives.
I disagree with everything you've said. I don't believe in the slippery slope.
So I should be president.
Yes. Tyrus?
I mean, to surmise what he says, sometimes you got to be the wolf to protect the sheep. I agree with that.
I'm a sheepdog.
But I would just like to stretch that a little further. I think that should go for everyone that is a homegrown terrorist. Your whole family got to go. So if you're an Irish terrorist and you decide to blow up some stuff, you and the whole fam got to go.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's great.
But right now we have a very specific enemy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I want to say this too. I actually don't want big government surveillance. I don't want the big intelligence machine. First of all, it's expensive, it's not effective, and it just doesn't work. I'm actually, my solution, and by the way, it's not emotional. I hope you don't think it is. No. It's heartfelt, but like I said, I survived on the battlefield because I'm not emotional. And what I'm doing with this kind of idea is I'm putting it on them. Mm-hmm. It's up to you, community. I'm not going to surveil you. I'm not going to. If you do this, I'm letting you know, I'm putting you on notice. What you care about is going to pay for it.
But I think people like you actually have a better sense of how people like that, normally a free society and
you can't get your head around it.
And having stuff and opportunity, it dissuades people from becoming murderous psychopaths. That doesn't work with jihadists. Mm-hmm. And we have to come up with a new way of replacing that ideology. And it's not necessarily killing thousands of people in the Middle East. I don't think that works. And surveillance, also to your point, the unintended consequences.
Bad news.
We got to go, you guys. We got to go. Coming up, North Korea. Remember that? They backed down on threats to bomb Guam. Maybe the president's fire and fury tough talk wasn't so nutty after all. So, remember North Korea? Wasn't it maybe 9 days ago that we were going to war? What happened? Well, obviously the news. And as coverage shifted to domestic strife, North Korea blinked. Kim Jong-un backed down on his threat to launch missiles at Guam. Perhaps because of this.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire, fury.
Fire and fury. There you go. Which actually sounds kind of sexy, like a movie featuring my two favorite actors.
In a world of unhinged leaders and rogue nations, he made the ultimate promise to confront evil.
They will be met with fire, fury, and frankly, power.
But the world didn't know his secret plan. They were former Las Vegas acrobats. Now they're the president's most trusted undercover agents. Richard Grieco is Ray Fire. Stephen Baldwin is Jack Fury. They are Fire and Fury. And they've got the power to save Earth from annihilation. With a special appearance by Robbie Rist as Cousin Oliver. Fire, Fury, Cirque du No Way, Kim J.
So Trump is negotiating, but he's doing it in a way that's not been done before. In short, for once, we are the nutcakes scaring the crap out of people. This is what countries like Iran and Libya, USSR, Cuba, and yes, North Korea have been doing to us for decades. He finally returned fire. And while he may be pretty lousy at a Tupperware party, he's pretty good in a street fight. Here's why. Have you ever seen Lethal Weapon? Of course you have. Donald Trump is Martin Riggs. Unstable and scary. Rex Tillerson, he's Roger Murtaugh. Stable and calm. It's a perfect balance, and they always win, even with Joe Pesci. He's the Robbie Rist of Lethal Weapon. But this White House isn't just the standard good cop, bad cop. It's bad cop with lots of good cops. You got Rex, you got Mattis, you got Kelly, you got Pence. That's 4 good cops. A relief after 8 years of mall security. And that's the point. What did President Obama say to Donald Trump as he left? Hey, by the way, watch out for North Korea. Okay, thanks, bye. Seriously, Obama drops a bombshell and splits. He's like a cable guy who leaves your apartment after clogging the toilet. I hate that. They always do it in my bathroom. But at least Trump's made some progress. He already got 3 factions, China, Russia, and America, to agree on sanctions. That's rare. The last time Russia, China, and the U.S. agreed on anything was that Katy Perry's last album sucked. Iris. Was Trump right to talk tough on North Korea? Do we have a cause and effect here, or am I just correlating?
My 3-year-old daughter, I would let her talk tough to Korea. I mean, he's been doing this for so long, you know, and I think probably the reason why he backed down is he probably got upset because he wasn't on the news. What did he say this week? Nothing. They're talking about some most. Well, forget it then. Put the one missile back. We'll wait. Yeah. Weeks is coming up.
Yeah.
No, they didn't bomb anything. Crazy.
I get the sense, Kat, that maybe we need 2 presidents, like mommy and daddy, or 2 daddies, or 2 mommies. I don't care because I'm really open. But like one who soothes, and one who is stern. And like, you know, Trump may be great at this skill, but maybe, like I said before, I think he's great at this stuff. I don't think he's great at being the soothing leader.
Some people can do both.
Yes, that's true.
I can be both soothing and stern.
I've never seen the soothing.
Very soothing.
Especially when you're yelling.
He was going to back down anyway, okay? I mean, the choice was either so I can do this and I can get blown to smithereens, or I cannot and I won't. That's the easiest decision you could ever hope to face in your life. Ever.
I don't know.
Other decisions are way harder. Other ones, like, do I get the good bagel place that gets my order wrong sometimes, or like the okay bagel place that always gets it right? Now that's a toughie.
Yeah, it is tough.
But to your point, this is the first time in a long time that he's been put in that position where he had to make that choice.
Yeah, I think that's what I was wondering. Kennedy, do you think that this is a different approach?
For the United States?
Yeah.
Yeah, the unpredictability.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the little Iron Maiden, you know, the stick he's going to beat him about the head and shoulders with, perhaps. Or that's a mace. Yeah, no, I actually thought this was very smart on the part of the president, because this is what he said he was going to do with rogue foreign policy actors. That he wasn't going to tell you what he was going to do, but he was going to be such a sociopath that they wouldn't be able to anticipate. And I think that unpredictability, which is what Kim Jong-un always banks on, when that was used on him, when the bully was bullied, he sort of pooped his undies.
He did.
And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. And the president got it right. He came out the next day and said, oh, yeah, remember that whole Fire and Fury thing? Yeah, well, it's actually going to be much worse than that. He doubled down on that. And his instincts served him well there. But then when he comes out and does the whole Tuesday Charlottesville press conference.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he applies the same mechanics to both things.
No one wants to fight a homeless guy with a bag of dog poop.
Yeah.
So because really, you don't want to do that.
Unless you want to like put it on YouTube.
Totally different thing. But the Trump administration deserves some credit for this, because you grew up, Tyrus. We know, as words are great. Without the chainmail fist behind it to back it up, it's just words. And so he's got to know that something bad's going to happen if he does that.
Smithereens.
Yes.
Kind of like what we were talking about a little earlier about the Islamo-terrorism.
Right. What are words for?
Yeah, it's great to talk.
Apparently to get you in trouble and lose a job.
Words for. All right. Is that
great.
Missing persons?
Missing persons.
Yes. Terry Dale Bosio.
Holy that's
crap.
right.
We all knew that, by the way.
No, we all didn't.
An amazing
She was awesome.
Terry Bosio, drummer for Zappa.
Yes.
Drummer for Phantomas. He was with Phantomas.
I am so lost right now.
Up next, did women have better sex in the communist rule? The New York Times thinks so. Guess they forgot about the starvation part of it. At least the sex was good, even if there was no food. That's the message of a horrendous New York Times piece which snuck under the radar last week, titled, Why Women Had Better Sex Under Socialism. Its author takes its proof from women living under communist rule in the Eastern Bloc, writing, quote, although the communists never fully reformed domestic patriarchy, communist women enjoyed a degree of self-sufficiency that few Western women could have imagined. So never mind the waiting in line for toilet paper. Stalin was ahead of his time in gender equality and also death, which would make it comical that better sex somehow cancels out the horrors of communism, except that the numbers of dead make the article profoundly obscene. How blind must editors be to deny the reality of the past and run this story? Or maybe they were just lazy and they didn't read it. We caught up with them for comment. That comments are aggression, and it's from this massive grievance culture that rewards the squeaky wheels of society. This is where we're at.
Precious.
I'm glad they like the show. Kennedy, you know what the Times excuse was? That, oh, this was an editorial. It was an opinion. So, but they still ran it, part of a series called The Red Century.
Yeah, the Red Century, you know, which was also, for those of us who are first-generation U.S. citizens, you know, my mom was raised in Romania. It was a bummer of a place. Living under the Soviet Union, it was awful. And, you know, sure, maybe the Ceci times were great because you didn't have any freedom or money or opportunity to do anything else.
Exactly.
Don't you think people would rather have, I don't know, had children and lived longer and had some sort of economic mobility instead of being persecuted and killed for their national background or their sexual preference?
It's crazy.
But they were so equal. This was great, you guys. Thanks, communists.
Yeah. Kat, I would
really
say this was
now.
the worst thing ever in the New York Times, but I remember they still published Paul Krugman.
Yeah. No, it was pretty bad. There was a line that said that, you know, Western women were having Western women were having less sex, even though the people under communism were waiting in toilet paper lines.
Yes.
So they were probably meeting tons of dudes in the toilet paper lines. I don't know. Like, I don't care. Socialism means you have to wait in lines for toilet paper. Capitalism means I can press a button on my phone and, like, toilet paper appears at my door magically. So that's amazing. Who cares about sex? That's great.
Yes. I'm worried about your obsession with toilet paper, though. Hey, Tyrus.
Hey, Greg.
What do you make of this justification?
This is actually, you know what, man? I 110% support this thing because it's real. I don't know how many in this panel have been broke, but I have been.
Yes.
And I've also had missed meal cramps. And the one thing that makes it go all the way is free sex. So, and it's the greatest 20 minutes of your life. It's a roller coaster. It's candy. It's fun. Nothing else matters. You worry about the lights being off and the car's not starting. But for these 10 or 6 minutes, we're going to have a blast. And I don't care where you are in the world, whether you're starving, you're on a deserted island, one thing makes it better. Some sex. I mean, it's just so.
Last word, Terry.
Last word, Greg. I think it's time. It's time to bring it back. Ask me right now about what I think of that article.
What do you think of that article?
Fake news.
Yeah.
There you go.
Communism is awesome for your love life.
Yeah, there you go. But
starvation is too.
Yeah. All right, up next. The guy who made computer password requirements harder than calculus has now changed his mind. I can't wait to tell him how he's made me nuts. My next guest claims he was very wrong about something that has made my life hell for years. Creating a strong password. You know, it has to be 8 to 12 characters, have a capital letter, some numbers, plus a special character like a $sign. And then as soon as you finally seared it into your brain, you got to change it and come up with something different. My next guest is the man who established those standards years ago, and it is considered the father of the modern password. But now, after years of putting me through emotional hell, he says he was wrong and that new passwords can be a breeze. Bill Burr is the retired former manager at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and he joins me now. All right, Bill, I have to say you're a hero because you're admitting a mistake, but do you know how many times I've hit my fist into my desk because of you? Because I can never get the password right?
Well,
I've done the same thing because of me, I suppose. Probably at least as many times as you have. And, in my own defense, I'm not the only one responsible for this, but I did write an influential standard that was not optimal.
I love you. Did you know? It is so incredible. I love the fact that you actually. Are people going to listen to you and change?
I don't know. The question is, will administrators who run systems change? Because they seem not to be too bothered by all this as far as I could tell. I gave them things that they found ways to, or alternatives that they found ways to implement that were kind of perverse, I think, and not quite what I'd intended. I just misunderestimated, I sound like George Bush. I underestimated the way things would evolve and the perversity of people setting these things up.
Yeah, you know what it was? It is so hard to put all that stuff together to come up with, like, Greg is super awesome and excellent by using all these characters, when in fact all you really had to do was just write a long sentence with words like, Lou Dobbs is so hot in a Speedo. If you do that, that's all you need to do, right? I mean, all you have to do is a sentence, right?
Yes, that would be pretty good.
Yes.
You know, it's easier to remember. It takes a little longer to type.
Yeah, yes. But I would never forget that.
On the other hand, if they make you change it every 90 days, it would still be annoying.
Yes, that's true. So are you saying that it's even pointless to change a password?
I'm saying that that's overrated. I won't say it's never pointless.
Okay.
Okay, we have a lot more research now than we did when I did this thing in 2003. Cormac Hurley's got Microsoft Research. Paul Van Oorschot's a professor at Carleton University. Right. And these people have done a lot of research on the passwords people actually use and come up with and how it plays out in real practice. And frankly, while there was a little bit of stuff available in 2003, I was mostly just guessing about the effects these things would have.
You were guessing. All right, last question. I came up with a good password system for myself. It consists of your name, your favorite body part, what I do on a first date, and how old I look. So my password would be Greg's Pecs Yoga 27.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Bill, thank you. And thank you for being so honest. And I hope people listen to you and we no longer have to go through this extremely stressful exercise every month. It really is hard on all of us. But
well, NIST has issued some new guidance that is more relaxed about these things, and hopefully people will follow it.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right, final thoughts are up next. Hey, I'll see you Monday on the 5 at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're running out of time, so...
What you wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
Kennedy?
Well, Greg, I love being part of the Fox family. And if you want to have a nightly romp with me Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern or 5 in the West, please tune to the Fox Business Network. Go to foxnews.com/channel finder. If you don't have the biz, if you don't have it, get it. And when you got it, join me Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Kennedy.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Terry?
Hey guys, I want you to know that we lost a Green Beret a couple days ago, Sergeant Aaron Butler from my old unit, 19 Special Forces Group. I want to thank his family for giving him to the regiment and to the country, and I will see you in Valhalla, brother. Thank you.
All right, Tyrus.
Well, as you know, I have a part-time job in Hell and on Preacher, so if you guys can check that out on AMC, that would be cool. And oh, yeah, for those of you that watch Impact, all one of you, I'm not doing it. I'm on my holdout, so I'm enjoying myself doing my real work. Enough said.
Oh, Wrestling Feud. I don't know what Impact is, but I'm going to
No one else does either.
I think it's aerobics.
I love Impact aerobics. Oh, yes. I have all the tapes. Kat?
I cannot fall asleep anymore unless I'm watching a show about a murder.
Well, I know you know what? That's called forensic files disorder.
Yeah.
I have the same thing.
Or deadly women, or women who kill,
Yes.
I
know.
Nightmare Next Door, or there's a whole host of options. Oh, wives with knives. There's a lot more opportunities for women who murder people to get on TV than men.
You know what? It's because the narrator is so soothing.
Yeah, Peter. His name's Peter.
Yeah, Jennifer Stevenson.
Yeah.
Wait, does Murder, She Wrote count?
Yeah, no.
Damn.
No.
Oh, I'm good.
All right. Special thanks to Terry Shepard, Kennedy, Bill Burr, Catherine Tyler for studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.